Ah yes, Tron, the landmark Disney movie combining computer effects with live action. In it, Kevin Flynn is drawn into the computer world and must play video games from inside the computer. But for those of us who don't own a molecular digitizer thingy, we must play these games from the outside. What games do you ask? Well, let's take a look at some Tron games, starting with Tron. The original Tron game arrived in arcades in 1982 and it was an instant hit. It's said to have made more money than the actual movie. In it, you play as Tron by using a joystick with a trigger along with an analog spinner. It includes 4 games from the movie: Light Cycles, Grid Bugs, Tanks, and the MCP. The Light Cycle style game became a huge hit, spawning many home computer ports. I remember a friend from school programmed one for my Atari 8-bit computer and I played it to death. Unfortunately, it was only 2-player. There was also the Grid Bugs, where you must aim Tron's arm and shoot enough bugs to gain entry to the glowing column thingy. It's a requirement to spin the arm when going up, isn't it? The Tanks game has you blasting enemy tanks in a maze using the spinner to aim the turret. I always hide in the center spot here and then shoot them when they get close. Finally, there was the MCP, where you have to shoot all the bricks to enter the cone. If I don't hit all the bricks, I just feel like a total failure. First round is easy, second round can be done if you're fast and don't miss any, and the third, well, screw it, I just try to enter the cone. So in my mind, Tron is one of the top 10 arcade games of all time. Tron, Deadly Discs for Intellivision, Atari 2600, and Mattel Aquarius. Here is the first home version of Tron, and dang, it is not like the arcade game. Rather, it's a totally different concept. You play as Tron throwing discs to de-res your enemies. It kind of reminds me of Berserk, but without the maze. You can also teleport by entering a door on the side of the screen. Throwing the disc is, well, interesting. You use the keypad to throw, which can be nice if you're moving Tron in a different direction. Kind of like a twin-stick shooter. The 5, or the center button, is used for blocking, and the side buttons are just not used at all. If you miss, you can recall the disc back to you by pressing any of the buttons. I feel like this control scheme might have worked better if the controller was held sideways like an NES controller. Instead, you hold it upright. That's weird. There's also a recognizer enemy that appears to repair the walls, which you can destroy if you're careful. Obviously, I was not here. The Atari 2600 game looks and plays similarly. The main difference is the lack of a grid on the ground, the missing recognizer enemy, and the controls. They might be a little easier, to be honest, because all you have to do is press the fire to throw the disc in the direction you're moving. But I don't think you can block because there's only one button. Then we have Mattel's underpowered Aquarius computer version of the game. Yikes, it looks even worse than the 2600 game. I wasn't able to play it myself since getting the emulator to work was far too much trouble, so enjoy this awful footage. Anyway, this is a pretty good version of Tron, even though, again, it's not like the arcade. Adventures of Tron for the Atari 2600. This one is a bit of a shocker because it only appears on the 2600. The Intellivision version was never officially released, but there is a homebrew port that came out a couple of years ago. This is a platform game where Tron must collect bits floating in the air while avoiding recognizers and grid bugs. You press up to ride the elevator on the level. Then you have to go to the other elevator to go up another level. This keeps you moving around on the stage and vulnerable to attack. On the third platform is the Solar Sailor, apparently. Okay. If you grab it, it will take you across the platform, which could be helpful in avoiding recognizers. More often than not, though, I use the center pole to drop down to avoid them. Also, I believe you can push down, but I always forget to do that. Once you grab all the bits, the level turns blue and you can ride the beam up to the next stage. This game is a bit confusing, but there's some fun to be had if you stick with it. Mazatron for the Intellivision. This one appeared only on the Intellivision, thank goodness. It kind of fits with their mission of thinking overly complicated games would be the way to compete with Atari's simple but fun gameplay. Okay, so let's see what the manual says here. Well, you play as Flynn, who is transported to the heart of the computer. I don't know, it looks more like he was shrunk down to me. So it says that in Phase 1, you have to store up energy in zeros and find RAM chips to clear them to zero in the shortest amount of time. Oh man. Okay, so this is a latch where you find the zeros, while this is a transformer used to increase your energy. If you get to the end of the stage, you have to change these ones into zeros with the zeros that you collected. Then you can battle the MCP in Phase 2, which I wasn't able to get to. So I'm just gonna say it. This game sucks. First of all, it is so cryptic, it makes ET look simple. Second, it's easy to get stuck on the circuits, which could cost you a life if you get too close to the edge of the screen, because it auto-scrolls. And thirdly, there's no weapons. All you have is a shield to protect yourself from the recognizers. Why are there recognizers on an actual circuit board? That makes absolutely no sense. I like the idea of crawling through the guts of a computer, but I think I'd rather play that old Epcot Center game called Chip Commander instead. Tron Solar Sailor for the Intellivision. Oh boy, here we go with another cryptic Intellivision game. I'm sensing a theme here. Also, you need to have the IntelliVoice module in order to get an access number for later in the game. So this is not off to a good start. So what you do here is ride the Solar Sailor to the center of the grid and destroy the MCP. Press the buttons to speed up or slow down and the disc to shoot enemies, most notably tanks and recognizers. The grid bugs don't really do anything, they just kind of sit there. You can also jump to a different beam by pressing the number pad, I think. This game makes no sense even if you do read the manual, which you need to be a rocket scientist to understand it. How many kids did that back in the day, and how many just went back to playing Space Invaders? There's really no fun factor in this game at all. Discs of Tron for the arcade. The story goes that this game was to be included with the original arcade release, but it wasn't ready when the other minigames were, so it was later released as a standalone game. Not sure I buy that though. I'm guessing it was an undeveloped concept and then later programmed into a game after the original game exploded in popularity. Either way though, I'm glad it exists because this is not just a game, it's an experience. Especially if you play the environmental cabinet, it is amazing. Basically, you play as Tron trying to knock Sark off floating discs by throwing your frisbee, your identity disc at him.
You'll regret this!
You aim your disc with the spinner, but you have to be strategic. Throwing directly at him usually doesn't work.
Have you not?
The joystick is the same as the original arcade, but with an extra block button. The game ramps up in difficulty in the later stages with more discs to jump on, enemies to chase you, and the ability to aim your throws by pushing or pulling on the spinner. This is not a normal concept for a video game, but it is definitely pure Tron. Tron. This is a small standalone tabletop game from Tomy that uses glowing VFD, or vacuum fluorescent display. I don't remember ever seeing it in the toy stores, but I did see it regularly in Electronic Games magazine. Thanks to emulation though, I've finally been able to give it a play, and honestly, for a simple game, it's not terrible. It actually consists of 3 levels. The first is the light cycles where you start on the left side of the screen. Pressing the button speeds you up, and you'll need to figure out a way to get ahead of Sark. There was a couple times where I was sure that I had him, so I think the game kinda cheats. Level 2 has you playing Pong Catch with Sark. He will throw a disc at you and you have to catch it. Again, I think this game cheats. There was many times where I was sure I was going to catch it, but I didn't. If you miss too many times, then your platforms will disappear and you lose a life. Level 3 is the MCP, and I wasn't able to get it, but this guy did.
Oh, there you go. Got it in.
This is one that I would love to have in my collection one day. I left a link below in the description, so you can try this game out for yourself. Tron 2.0 for the PC and the Mac. There was a huge gap of time before we got a new Tron game, an incredible 20 years. Then, out of the blue, Tron 2.0 appeared and I was on board. I remember buying the game on CD-ROM and playing the online battles back then, and they were a total blast. If only I knew where my copy of the game ran off to, but fortunately it can be found on Steam for a few bucks. So this is a first-person perspective game where you play as Jet Bradley, the son of Alan Bradley from the original movie. He gets digitized into the grid and has to stop a virus from propagating in the system.
Thanks, program.
There's a couple of different weapons like the blaster gun, but I really just prefer to use the disc. I don't know, I'm probably screwing myself over by doing that though. You can block enemy shots with the disc, and it's very satisfying when it works. How do you like that? The game also has an interesting upgrade system where you fit skills into your memory capacity. You can later upgrade these skills so they take up less space. The look of the game is absolutely gorgeous. It really looks like you're on the grid from the original movie. This is my favorite Tron game outside the arcade, by far. I wish the multiplayer still worked though. Over on Xbox, there's a version of this game called Tron 2.0 Killer App, which doesn't really look much different, but I'm sure it has a few upgrades. Tron 2.0 Killer App for the Game Boy Advance. This version of Tron 2.0 is obviously nothing like the PC or Xbox game. The main game is an isometric action game, but I'm really more interested in the inclusions of the original arcade Tron and Disc of Tron games. I don't know if these games are emulated or recreations, but they play and sound exactly like the original. Also included are some minigames like Firewall, Security, and Defragment. Okay, so the main game here has you playing as either Mercury or Tron, battling the corruption and collecting upgrade chips to customize your character. Pressing A jumps, B attacks with your disc, and L blocks. I'm pretty sure you need to hack these terminals to move on to the next stage, but I'm not smart enough to do it. I did enjoy the 3D Light Cycle, Tank, and Recognizer games. If I had more patience, I think this game could really grow on me. Kingdom Hearts 2, Tron World Space Paranoids for the PlayStation 2. Okay, so this isn't really a proper Tron game, but I'm going to mention it here since it looks kind of cool.
You better get out of here quickly. Who knows what the MCP will do to you?
Apparently, this game is unlocked when you visit Hollow Bastion when its battle level is 28. Honestly, I don't know what any of that means. I read it off the wiki. But it looks like the Disney gang teams up with Tron to defeat the MCP, so that's kind of cool. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that, so if you'd like to leave some comments about the game, please do so below.
I really owe you one. With all my functions up and running, I think I've got a chance of getting system control away from the MCP.
Tron Evolution for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PC, and the PSP. Okay, so this was the big game that was released alongside of Tron Legacy. You can tell because it looks like Tron Legacy. This is actually a prequel to the movie where you play as an anonymous character who works for Flynn to investigate Clue and his nefarious plans. The gameplay reminds me a ton of the modern Prince of Persia series where you can run along the walls and jump super far and stuff like that. I don't know, I've never really cared for that mechanic, it's just so unbelievable, but I guess it works here in the Tron world. Visually, this game is incredible. There are reflections on the ground, the characters explode in a shower of cubes, and the models and environments are just very highly detailed. I did pick up a copy not too long ago, and it might be fun if I didn't die so much. Tron Evolution Battle Grids for the Nintendo Wii. This was the Nintendo Wii offering when the Tron Legacy movie came out. It's clearly more cartoony than the Xbox 360 or PS3 Tron Evolution game. It has a story mode as well as several minigames. Funny though, I don't really remember ever playing the story mode, but apparently you can create a player and join up with Quora, meet Zeus, and later Flynn. You know, standard stuff.
With a perfect record, I might add, the stage is set for a new champion.
As for the mini-games, you've got the light cycles, the tanks, the light discs, and more. Naturally, all of them use the Wii's famous motion controller. Yay! Some may not like that, but I find it works fairly well, especially with the light cycles.
I'm not gonna go easy on you.
Tron Evolution for the Nintendo DS. This version of Tron Evolution is surprisingly good. Like the Wii game, it's a little cartoony, but that's not unexpected for a DS game. The big difference here is that it's played on 2 screens and you must use the stylus for much of the gameplay. There's story mode and grid games, which include light cycles, disc battles, tanks, and recognizer racing. Each look and play exceptional. Light cycle control is interesting. You can snap your cycle like in the original movie with a control pad, or move it in analog motion with the stylus. As for story mode, I didn't get too far into it, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate having an on-screen map helping me figure out where I need to go. Using the disc is not quite as easy as tapping on an enemy though. You actually have to swipe towards them. Ugh. That said, I like this game way more than I should have. Kingdom Hearts 3D, Dream Drop Distance, Tron World, The Grid.
Whoa! Oh man!
Another Kingdom Hearts game that includes some Tron elements. This one originally appeared on the Nintendo DS, but it was later remastered for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch. Again, this one looks pretty good and integrates the Sora character into the Tron Legacy world.
What was that about?
We even get to see Flynn, Sam, and Quora in some of the cutscenes.
This is just incredible. What a program. The weapon and the wielder.
And that's pretty much all I know about this game.
Take this!
Tron Run R for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Here we have one of those endless runner-style games. You are a rogue program attempting to escape the grid by running and jumping your way to the end of the stage. You can collect power-ups to help your character, like exploding discs, enable shields, doubling your score, and powering up your shots, you know, that kind of stuff. Later in the game, you get to drive light cycles in a race against time to reach the end. For a downloadable online game, this one looks pretty cool. Tron Identity for the PC and Nintendo Switch. From what I gather, this one appears to be a detective story where you play as a program named Query. The repository has been breached and Query must gather information for the programs involved using dialogue trees. What choices you make in the game could have repercussions later on. This is reminiscent of games like Telltale's The Walking Dead, and it seems to be quite a departure from other Tron games. I guess if you like this kind of stuff, maybe give it a shot. Tron Catalyst for the PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and the Nintendo Switch.
Even if you do.
This is a top-down action game where you play as EXO trying to prevent the server from being rebooted. Oh no, what if we had to go back to the original look of Tron? It looks like you get the typical power-ups and dialogue that push the story forwards. Most of the battling looks to be done with your disc while fighting mobs. We also get to see some light cycle stages, but I doubt it looks like these cutscenes. Would it be so bad if we rebooted back to the original Tron arcade game? I don't think so. Alright, well that's gonna do it. Every Tron game that I could possibly think of. Which one was your favorite? Please let me know down in the comments. Thank you to all my members. I really appreciate you supporting the channel. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye everyone.